I'm Miel. I'm the Executive Director of Rainbow Catholics Philippines or RCPhil. Professionally, I'm a financial advisor from Pioneer Life Incorporated, and I'm also a freelance writer. I'm a graduate of UP Diliman.
So, could you tell us more about Rainbow Catholics Philippines, please?
Okay, Rainbow Catholics Philippines is an organization that brings together individuals who work for pastoral care and justice for LGBTIQ Catholics and their families. We work for inclusion, dignity, equality, and affirmation of the LGBTIQ community within the Catholic Church and civil society. We've noticed that although we have a plethora of LGBT organizations in the Philippines, but even Christian LGBT organizations, but we do not have, or at least not one that is spearheading the advocacy for LGBTIQ Catholics within the Catholic Church. That's why we decided to form Rainbow Catholics Philippines.
Yeah, I can't help but agree with your statement on that. That Rainbow Catholics is kind of a unique organization, in that it is both an LGBTQ and a Catholic organization, and it's quite active in fighting for LGBTQ empowerment. Because I have been raised Catholic, of course. I was an altar knight for 7 years actually in our municipality here in Lipa City. I was a high-ranking altar knight. I was wearing black instead of white. So I'm pretty much familiar with masses and with priests and all that. And since I was also spent a lot of time in a Catholic school, I understand what it means to be Catholic. There are the dogmas, there are the teachings, the catechisms, and this is pretty ironic. I mean, don't you agree? I mean, to both be a loyal Catholic and a proud LGBTQ, uh, does it not produce some
If
irony?
you if you would think about the Catholic Church as the views of those leaders that we have now, you would say it's an irony. But really, Roman Catholicism, really at its core is Jesus' teaching, which is to love one another. It's unconditional love. So how could you preach unconditional love and be conditional and say that, oh, unconditional love is just for these certain people, and these people who don't want to abide by these rules could not be part of this church. So
Okay.
we believe that as long as you follow the teachings, like Jesus' teachings to love one another, not hurt people and everything, there's no it's not an either or situation really for me and in our organization. Because if you think about it, if you look at the history of the Catholic Church, a lot has changed through the years.
Yes, yes.
Things that they would burn people for before are pretty much accepted already. So my our point is maybe it's just that the church has not reached that point yet where they are more accepting. So why would you turn your back on something instead of trying to explain to them that, hey, we're part of this. We are not here to destroy the church. We're here
Yes,
to
yes.
be with you guys and to be one with you, with the community.
I think what you're referring to is, the times when the church were really, really bad. Now I'm not saying they're perfect or good now, but there were times, of course, I think we call them the dark ages, particularly because of the
Yes,
darkness that the church allowed to happen back then. And yes, they were
yes,
burning people. And, if we're going to be a little bit more, let's say, less medieval and more modern, the church did participate in slavery. I think that's
yes,
one of the points that you're trying to say, that for a long time, the church,
exactly.
and this church, not just a nameless church, but this same Roman Catholic Church was in favor of slavery. But now they are not, right? And that's, I think, the point you're trying to make.
Yes, because for me it's really their take on what Jesus was teaching us. That for the particular period that we have, like the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages, and the part when the church were for slavery was the take of the people. It's the human element of the church really that drives these beliefs that they teach people. And if you remove the human element of the church, it's not really part of the teachings of Jesus Christ. So some people would say they would just leave the church altogether, but I don't want to sacrifice my faith. I was raised Catholic. My parents are Catholic. My family is Catholic. And I don't want to just, I don't want it to be the reason why I need to leave the church. And in fact, I, I it may be ironic for some, but for me, actually, because I lost my faith. I left the church for a time. It was my going back to the church that made it easier for my mom to accept me for who I am. Because my mom is deeply Catholic, deeply religious. One of the things she didn't like me coming out was she thought that I'd be leaving the church also. And when she found out that it was my current partner who actually brought me back to the church, that she was able to accept me more because she found out that didn't have to choose. I didn't have to leave the church.
Well,
So
that's a very interesting twist. You know, if I think about it, you left the church once because of your the inconsistencies or just the harm it does to your understanding of your gender, because you're not allowed inside the church to love who you actually love. But it is actually
yes,
those people that you love or that particular person that you love that brought you back.
actually, I left the church
Okay.
when I came out, and then had several relationships, and then I met this someone who was active in church. So just like you, I was surprised. I mean, how could you be active in church and be an advocate for LGBT rights? And she told me that I will not allow these people in church to stand between me and my faith. And I was dumbfounded. I did look at it that way. I did I did not realize that the church itself is a separate entity from the people running it, the bureaucracy, if we could call them that. So
Yes.
that's a good point. I said I was allowing them to turn me to push me away from my church where I should not allow them to do that. That's why I started going back to church again, and I started praying again, and I realized that I need to be firm with my beliefs and tell them that we are no different. We can be part of this church, which just so happened that we are in homosexual relationships, but we do not um, we do not get into relationships by force. I mean, it's two consenting adults being in a relationship on their own free will. So there's no deception there. No one is being wronged in the relationship. So why is it not accepted? But that is but
Correct.
that's what we are fighting for.
And there's this, again, there's this amazing realization that you're sharing that the church is separate from, you know, the faith, and that you can criticize one or seek to change one as a means of
But
enriching faith, you know. So
it's not attacking the faith. It's the people that's running it, the church that you have issues with. And
correct.
it's not that we don't want to leave the church, but we want to make them understand, not fight them, not be antagonistic towards them, but reach out and explain and let them understand. Because when they always take it as an attack against the church, when in fact the people running the churches are not the church. We have the same faith, and people change, people improve. they become better persons, and it's up to us, I think, to let them understand the situation and explain our side of the story, because just like everything else, things that they do not understand, they fear, and maybe we should explain instead of just turning our backs and live life and show them that we can be exemplary Catholics and yet be homosexuals at the same. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is we should look past, because uh, sometimes we would say that you cannot. It's like you cannot be a good person if you're part of the LGBT. Why? If you don't steal, you don't do anything, any of those things that's being forbidden by the church. I mean, uh, Nathan, it's not in the Ten Commandments, right? It's for me, honestly. I don't steal. I don't step on other people. I don't abuse people. I don't take advantage of people. So what makes me a bad person? And sometimes if a person is like Florence Nightingale, they allege, they would play that part down.
Yeah, they do. Yes, correct,
Yeah.
correct.
So why can't we do it for everyone? Why can't we just be good person regardless of our sexuality? Why do you need to highlight like this? She's a doctor. She's a nurse. Oh, she's a lesbian. That's not a profession.
Correct, correct. It's
Why
not a
do you need
profession.
to label a person?
No one's like, I'm gonna be a professional lesbian someday.
Yeah,
Is there a
exactly.
license for that or an exam? It's not a yeah, correct. It's not a
So why do
profession.
you need to use that label? Why can they just be a doctor? Why does she need to be a lesbian doctor? And for me, maybe that's just the idealistic and when I dream of a world that you don't have to explain
But
why you are such. But we are in a world that we have to show people that in spite of our being LGBT, we could still be good people and we could still contribute to the society. We
you're
are contributing.
you are actually you're very much contributing, and I don't think anyone can deny that.
I have a I just need to share this story.
Yes, please.
This is also a proof that the church can change. You mentioned you were an altar boy when you were younger, right? I grew up. I wanted to be an altar boy.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to be an altar boy, and right now I see little girls serving as
Yes,
altar servers, right?
yes.
So that's something that has changed in the church during my lifetime. That was something I wanted. I would ask my mom, why can't I be like them? And I even said, they're wearing skirts. Why can't I be
Yeah, yeah,
there?
yeah. We were. They're really. We have a short one and then a long one.
Yeah, why can't I be one of them? They said no, because altar servers are boys. Girls cannot be altar servers. And I would ask why. It's just because it's that way. And when right now, whenever I see a little girl serve in church in the mass, I really would feel happy because that's something I wanted. And little girls right now are being able to do it, are able to do it.
Correct. That's actually a good example. That the church does change. And this is a really, I think, new. I think this is just this year, right? That the Vatican released a document that's allowing women to serve in the altar and those kinds of positions. It's been going on before the
Yeah,
document was released, but at least now officially the Vatican has
yeah,
gave in or changed, and this is the direction that I of course Rainbow Catholic Philippines would also
exactly.
want to undertake.
You have to uh, realize really that the change must come from within the church, because the church will not succumb to outside pressure if the congregation does not ask for it. So It's enlightening the people in church, like uh, the greeters, the collectors, the lectors, the commentators, everyone who serves in church. Because that's how you start it. I mean, because you're already there. You see a lot of gay people in church, really.
Yeah, the priests
But
are gay. You know, I mean, the priests are gay. The what do you call those who read the, they read
the
like,
lectors
yeah,
are
the
gay,
lectors are
the
gay.
commentators are gay.
Yeah, so
Um, I used to when we were talking about it once about having gay priests. It doesn't matter if they're gay. They have a vow of celibacy. Doesn't matter if they're gay or they're
but
hetero.
you know what?
It's the same.
We can get into the details of this because I understand
Yeah.
the philosophical level of the justification for priests being only straight males. I'm saying I understand it, but I'm not accepting it. I just, as a philosophy major, see, that's my training. I know why they argue that way. The argument is that Jesus Christ chose to manifest himself in the flesh as a man, and that is why anyone who would simulate, the Christhood, I don't know if they use that term, should also be a man, and that's why women cannot be priests. And if you are a gay priest, that has to change. That has to be corrected. Even though there's really no way to change that.
Yeah, but being gay doesn't make you less of a man. I mean, you're still a man. You just like men.
Correct, correct.
It's not like you identify as women. You're a man. You identify as a man.
That's correct. But I think that's that the rulers of the church for a long time has just, uh, with great bias, defined masculinity as wanting the opposite sex, but that, of course, is not the case, and that has no proper scientific basis. That kind of
Yeah.
assumption. But speaking of the image of Christ, I wanna check how much flexible you think that could get. Do you think that if Jesus, uh, chose to manifest as a woman, that's gonna be a problem, or it's not a problem at all?
Well, for me personally, it doesn't really. I don't really have a problem with that. But others would take issue with that.
Yeah, I think
Mainly because of how we were conditioned to think as the masculine person being more dominant and being more powerful or being more
so.
uh, better
So there
than
would
the
be
female. But for me, it doesn't matter.
so there's nothing wrong if Jesus chose to be a woman, hypothetically. Now let me raise the bar.
Hypothetically, no.
Let me make a riskier question. If you read the Bible, nothing there says that Jesus is straight. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we take this with a little comedy on it, but, uh, would it hurt Jesus as our Savior if he was gay?
No, I mean, it wouldn't change anything of the things that he did. He still died for us. He was still crucified for us. He still came down from heaven. As I always say, like I said before, it's the interpretation of the people who were around him. Like right now, it's the people who are in church who would tell us that this is wrong, this is right, this we should believe in these things, we should condemn these things. For me personally, I if that was the case, I don't really find anything wrong with that because it doesn't change the thing, the very pillar of our faith, which is he died for us. He came down from heaven. He was born. He became man. That doesn't say he became a straight man. It just
Exactly,
said he became man.
exactly.
And he died for our sins and he saved us. So that is my personal belief.
Yeah,
It
and
doesn't really resonate with everyone, but
oh,
that's for me. It doesn't matter. It's like for me, gay priests. I don't have anything wrong with that. I don't. it's just funny that we think of um gay couples, even if they're if gay and lesbian couples, even if they're in an exclusive relationship, as sinful, and yet we don't bat an eyelash with people who are married with second, third, fourth, fifth families, which is
Yeah,
more for me is more actually more sinful because you've been married in church. You have a vow to be with that person and that person only. And yet, if you compare those two setups, people would still think that gay and lesbian relationships, even monogamous gay and lesbian relationships, are more sinful than people with multiple families. That's just the irony.
it is. It is quite, a perplexing phenomenon, but it's a persistent phenomenon. And if we go back to earlier, you mentioned Jesus Christ's teachings, and yes, I do agree that it's really centered about love. In fact, and of course, I think that he did not really mention anything against homosexuals. If you review the all the things that he said, it was actually another character in the Bible. It was Saint Paul. It was the converted Saint Paul who actually started those nasty discriminatory remarks against.
When he was like in prison and telling all these letters from Saint Paul,
Yes,
he did it when he was in prison, right? And telling them that you don't do this, you don't do that. But it was the realities of their time. And people always quote Leviticus for me
yeah, yeah.
when you talk about homosexuality. They say, why do you just quote Leviticus 18, whatever, 21? Why don't you read the whole book? You're wearing uh, two kinds of cloth in your dress. That's forbidden in Leviticus.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
And
if you're a
tattoo.
widow and you don't, if your sister-in-law is a widow and you don't marry her, that's forbidden. You should. I mean, that's what I don't like about people who would quote the Bible to you, because these are you just handpick verses that you could throw at me, but like
Yeah,
three, four, five verses after what you said, you're violating it yourself.
correct,
So
correct. You, you
why
know,
is this quote more important than the next one?
that's funny. Among those lists are, tattoos and wearing different kinds of clothing.
Yeah.
I think eating some seafood, some kind of seafood is
Yeah.
also, and
Um.
the term was an abomination, right? That it is an
Yes.
abomination. But there are so many already Bible scholars saying that you have to learn the context of what abomination means. At that time, abomination only means unusual. It did not mean wrong. It just means that it's not common. But
Normal.
it's yeah. But they're not saying that it is to be banned or anything. So again this we go back to what we mentioned earlier, that the level of Catholic education, the level of actual knowledge we have about the Bible is also problematic. In the Philippines, we're more obedient of priests than what's really on the Bible, or what's really maybe the message of Christ.
In my case, actually, when I came out to my parents, uh, it was hard because at first it was the regular, okay, so you're gay. You don't have to tell the world about it. Just be discreet, and we're okay. And they won't talk about it. We didn't talk about it afterwards. But see, after a while, it gets stifling when
Yeah.
you can talk about your life when you're with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I would start talking about because I don't, I've been away from home since college, so I just go home for vacations and everything. When I start talking about things that I do with my partner, everybody would be quiet, and then they will just they would be polite enough
Yeah.
to let you finish your story and then move on to other things. So it gets tiring after a while. So I started telling my mom, why don't you want, this is who I am. Why can't you accept me? And my mom said something that I'll never forget. She said, I am trying. I am trying to be better. Just give me time, she said. yeah, this is a lifetime of conditioning that you're asking me
Mm-hmm.
to reverse.
Correct. Yeah.
So, so just give me the space and the time when I can accept you. I mean, I she's accepted me already, but that she would not flinch anymore when I would talk about my girlfriend or something. So it was actually why that by the time in my current relationship that when she found out that I started going back to church and everything, that it made her feel that the being in a homosexual relationship was not a highway to hell like she believed in the first place. Because it actually brought me back to church and I
Yeah,
started
it's
going
the
back to church
opposite
and
actually happened. It
yeah.
became your way
So
back. It didn't bring you to hell, it
yes,
brought you back to the fold, to the
exactly.
church.
So it made her realize that it made me a better person.
So how is she now, if I may ask? Is she still
My mom's
flinching?
okay. No, no, not anymore. Actually,
Oh,
she would invite me
that's
and my
awesome.
partner. She even if sometimes I'd come home, come visit, she'd say, "When is your partner coming?
Oh, wow.
why why is just you?"
Oh, now I think soon maybe she will just want the partner and just not you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so too.
Sometimes
When is
in-laws
she
do that.
coming? You've been here several times and it's just you.
Yeah. Now she's complaining, right? Now she's complaining
Yeah.
that why didn't you
If I
bring
talk to
her?
her, where's your partner? Is she
That's really
there? Can I talk
nice.
to her?
That
But
that
I mean,
do you-
again, if I don't have that same principle that I'm applying to the church, that you don't want me now, I'll just walk away, and
okay.
then I would never have found out that down the road my mom would have accepted me
Correct,
because I
correct.
already turned my back on her. Same thing with the church. That's what I'm trying to apply now. I'm not losing hope that the church will accept me eventually, and I'm working towards that. And if it will take time, maybe it takes time because,
It will take
like my
time.
mom, they also have a lifetime of conditioning.
Correct.
Even if they did most of the conditioning themselves, they too were conditioned to
It's a
begin with.
cycle. Like you said earlier, it's a
Yeah,
cycle of just
yeah. So
condition.
how can you expect something to change when you don't even want to put in the work to changing it, to
Correct.
disrupting the cycle that's happening in church?
Did
It
you
is not
ever?
something.
So did they ever like ask you when are you gonna have a boyfriend? Or those kind of.
Yeah, but I had a boyfriend
Oh, you
before I had
had
a
a
girlfriend.
boyfriend. You had a
Yes,
boyfriend.
I
Okay.
actually
For how
I
long?
had a I had a boyfriend for 2 years.
2 year
And
boyfriend.
and I would say this is something's wrong with the relationship. So I said why? Because you say if I and we were talking, I was fortunate enough that he was an open minded guy,
Okay.
and when
Yeah,
we
two
would go on
years.
dates, yeah, we would go on dates, and we would see a beautiful girl, and we both spot it and said, "Look, may maganda, oh."
You
Sabi
would
niya, "Oo
both.
nga,
You would
sundan
both.
natin, sundan natin."
Maybe you know what? Maybe he was thinking, "Oh, I'm so lucky. She's so tolerant." But little did he know,
when,
you
when we were
maybe you were
finally
more
talking
into the
about it,
girl. Oh
yeah,
my.
we were talking about it, and I said, "Don't you think that was weird that we would do that?" And he said,
Okay.
"Yeah." And I said, "I need to find out. I need to find out." Because we were talking about serious stuff already. They said, "I need to
Ah.
find out if I'm not, if I'm a
S-
lesbian."
Serious
And
like
he
marriage, things like that.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, whoa.
And he
Okay.
said, "Well, you better find out now. It would be worse if you like leave me for
Yeah.
a girl. So you better go find out." And I did,
And you
and
found
I
out.
found out. And he was like, "Okay, so maybe we could share girlfriends." I don't know.
Did he really say that? Did he really say?
he,
No.
yeah, he's
But joking,
he's
I guess.
jokingly, yeah. And he
Jokingly.
say,
You know what?
so I guess.
I'm gonna tell you something. He wasn't joking. I don't think he was joking. I think he really meant like you might as well. You know, you owe me. Can we at least share?
And I
Oh
said
my.
no. And I said
Now why not?
maybe you could.
Why not?
Yeah, yeah.
Can I defend him, please? Why not? In his honor, I think you owe him. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, of course.
And I told him, girls I'd be dating wouldn't want to date you, or
Oh,
else they wouldn't date me
ah,
because I don't.
and
Actually, I had the problem I had was with my brother because we
oh,
were so close, and my brother is homophobic.
oh,
So
okay. You really use that term, huh? You really use that term against
because
your. Oh my God.
he is. I mean,
Okay.
he says it. He is.
Why? Why? What
He
did
is.
he do? If
He really hates gay people. Well, he used to, not anymore.
okay, good. Is he also
But when
religious?
I
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
no,
Ah, okay.
when I came out, uh, he was like he was the one who, because I'm the youngest. There's four of us in the family. I'm the youngest. He's the one I'm closest to. He's next. He's the one next to, and then we have two older siblings who were really married already when I came out. So they were like, okay, fine, and then they had other issues in their lives, so they didn't really. But it was my brother who really took issue with my coming out. He didn't talk to me for 5 years,
What?
and
5 years?
yes, five
That's a long
years,
time.
and and the time that he found out and we had a big fight, he said, he said, alam mo ba, pag nanliligaw ako ng babae, inaalam ko kung may kamag-anak siyang bakla kasi ayokong malahian tayo ng bakla. Tapos yung kapatid ko pala bakla.
Okay,
That's what he said.
I
And I
don't.
said, Kuya, hindi ako bakla. Hindi ako bakla. Kasi babae ako.
Correct, correct. You're correct with that.
but,
Good.
but, but after that 5 years, then we both came home for Christmas. And then we started talking. And he was changed by then. Maybe he realized that he was really wrong in what he said before. And then we became friends again. We talked. And he is actually more accepting now than my other siblings. I didn't really care. it's, it's him who became friends with my friends. He's it's from him that I heard that he said to his friend, ganyan niya yung kapatid ko, bro, mahal na mahal ko yan.
Great.
I'm proud of her, he said. I heard it from him only. And
That's
I
great.
was like, I mean, um, to hear that from someone who said, I don't want to be your brother anymore. And I don't want to have someone like you in my family and then say that he's proud of you. It's something that I was thankful really
Yeah, yeah.
for. Okay. Being Catholic and homosexual is not an either or scenario. You could be a proud Catholic by espousing the teachings of Jesus Christ, which is to love one another. Thus, we should never judge people as well. And instead of drawing lines that push people further away from the church, maybe we should be more accepting of one another, as Jesus was accepting. Love is at the core of our faith, and neither that love is neither judgmental nor selective, but unconditional. Just love one another, and yeah, if you want to be um, to talk about this more, maybe you could explore our Facebook page. We have videos there of the past activities that we have for that have people who talk about these things. about reconciling faith and sexuality, and maybe attend our events, our sessions where you could be there and listen or share things that you want to share, your experiences, and be open on of open to people and be open of who you are and not be afraid of being judged or perceived or hated on. So there's nothing wrong with being homosexual, and we should not feel guilty as long as we're not hurting anybody. We can be part of the church. So that's my message.
Okay.
As we end the celebration of the LGBTQ month, PNU remains steadfast in its commitment to be the center of activities to continue empowering the LGBTQ members in the society. As a national center for teacher education, the university stays true to its mandate of nurturing teachers who answer to the call of quality education, the kind of education that embraces all socioeconomic status, religions, races, and genders. We may have our small wins in this big fight, but we still need to strive to foster a culture of love that connects instead of driving us apart. Our society is still troubled with discrimination and violence towards our LGBTQ communities, and it is our duty to see these openly, to inspire us to think, feel, and act with love. I thank the University Center for Gender Development for continuously aiming for activities to champion gender inclusivity in the academe. Marami pong salamat.